For 2 centuries, scholars studied the journals of a child who spoke an impossible language. Until a young archivist's late-night discovery revealed something far more disturbing than a linguistic miracle. What scientists finally uncovered would force an entire town to confront a truth they'd spent 200 years avoiding. The anomaly appeared on Iris Kowalski's screen at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, 3 weeks into her first real job as a digital archivist. She'd been running linguistic analysis software on the digitized journals of the language boy, Oak Haven's most famous historical figure. When the program suddenly highlighted an entire paragraph in pulsing red, Iris leaned closer, her heart quickening. The software had flagged a grammatical pattern that occurred 247 times across the journals, a construction so repetitive, so mechanically consistent that it suggested deliberate design rather than organic language evolution. She pulled up the visualization tool and her breath caught. The pattern looked like a fractal, perfectly symmetrical, mathematically precise. Natural languages didn't do that. She grabbed her phone and texted Dr. Alberta Ross, her former thesis advisor at Georgetown. Found something strange in the language boy journals. Can I call you? The reply came immediately despite the late hour. Give me 10 minutes. While she waited, Iris walked to her apartment window overlooking the town square. The bronze statue of Augustine Wilson stood beneath the streetlights. His child's face turned skyward as if listening to celestial voices. His story had built a powerful legacy for Oak Haven, an ordinary boy who had woken up one day with no memory of his native English, speaking a language no one else knew, only to pass away 5 years later from an illness as mysterious as the words that came out of his mouth. Words that now AI was flagging as suspicious. Iris had photographed that statue on her first day in Oak Haven, adding it to her collection of historical monument postcards. Now she wondered if she'd been documenting a lie. Her phone buzzed. "Tell me," Dr. Ross said without preamble. Iris explained the pattern, her voice shaking slightly. There was a long silence on the other end. "Iris, listen to me carefully," Dr. Ross finally said. "Before you go any further, you need to understand something. I had a graduate student 20 years ago who found evidence that a celebrated colonial diary was forged. She was thorough. She was right. And she was blacklisted by 3 major institutions before she even finished her dissertation. The family whose ancestor wrote the diary had enough influence to destroy her career. Are you telling me not to pursue this? I'm telling you to count the cost. You're on a 1-year contract in a town whose entire economy depends on this legend. You have student loans. I remember you mentioning them. You're brilliant, Iris, but you're also vulnerable right now." Iris looked at the statue again, thinking about the little boy who'd supposedly spoken a language that shouldn't exist. What if it's real? The hoax, I mean, what if Augustine Wilson was used? Dr. Ross was quiet for a moment. "Then send me everything you have. But Iris, if we do this, we do it right exhaustively because we'll only get one chance and the backlash will be severe." Over the next 3 weeks, Iris fell down a rabbit hole. She cross-referenced the flagged vocabulary against every database she could access. The results were damning. Significant portions of Augustine's unique language aligned with regional dialects from the Connecticut River Valley mixed with Latin phrases that would have been familiar to any educated person in the 1820s. But to no one in small Oak Haven had the wonder boy who spoke a language that no one understood been just a hoax. Iris needed more. Dr. Ross had brought in 2 colleagues, Dr. Marcus Okonkwo from linguistics and Dr. Al Gupta who specialized in historical fabrications. Their first video conference was sobering. "The patterns you've identified are significant," Dr. Okonkwo confirmed, his wire-rimmed glasses reflecting his screen. "But we need to rule out other explanations. Could this be a pidgin language? A Creole that developed naturally from multiple sources?" "I thought of that," Iris said. "But look at the timeline. Augustine supposedly began speaking this language fully formed at age 7. No gradual development, no evolution. It appeared complete, which is linguistically impossible," Dr. Okonkwo agreed. "But we need documentary evidence, not just linguistic analysis. We need to prove intent." That's when Iris started digging into the Wilson family finances. She was in the museum's basement archive, surrounded by ledgers that smelled of mold and old paper. When she found it, the family had been desperately poor in 1822, facing foreclosure. Then in 1824, shortly after Augustine's gift became public knowledge, they suddenly acquired property and resources. She was photographing the ledger pages when Patricia Vance appeared at the top of the stairs. "Iris, honey, can we talk for a moment?" Patricia descended slowly, her usual cheerfulness replaced by something harder. "I've been hearing that you are asking a lot of questions about the Wilson family, about their finances. I'm just being thorough with the cataloging. I appreciate thoroughness." Patricia's smile didn't reach her eyes. "But I want you to remember something. This town's history is like a house, Iris. Every story is a load-bearing wall. You start pulling them out and the whole structure comes down. She paused. The museum board meets next week. We'll be discussing the scope of your digitization project and your contract renewal. After Patricia left, Iris sat in the basement for a long time, staring at the ledgers. Her phone buzzed, another student loan payment reminder. $847 due in 2 weeks. She thought about Dr. Ross's former student, blacklisted and ruined. Then she thought about Augustine Wilson, a 7-year-old boy who had possibly been used by his own family to escape poverty, and opened her laptop to continue her research. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Iris had been searching for contemporary accounts of Augustine, but every newspaper article from Oak Haven itself was glowing. So, she expanded her search to neighboring towns, looking for skeptical coverage. She found dozens of dismissive pieces, but they were vague. General mockery without specifics. Dead end after dead end. She was ready to give up when Dr. Gupta suggested something different. Stop looking for articles about Augustine, he said during their next video call. Look for articles about traveling showmen in the Connecticut River Valley in the early 1820s. If this was a hoax, someone had to teach the boy, someone with experience in public exhibitions. It took 2 more weeks of searching through undigitized newspaper archives at the American Antiquarian Society. Iris was beginning to think they'd never find anything when she stumbled across a name that appeared in 3 different papers. Cornelius Ashford, described as an educational exhibitionist who specialized in linguistic marvels and mathematical prodigies. Her hands shook as she searched for more. There a brief mention in an 1822 Hartford paper. Mr. Ashford has departed for the western counties where he promises to astound audiences with new demonstrations of human capability. Western counties where Oak Haven was located. Keep digging, Dr. Ross urged. We need a direct connection. It was Dr. Gupta who finally found it. Buried in the Worcester County Gazette from March 1823. A letter to the editor signed by Cornelius Ashford himself describing in bitter detail how he had helped the Wilson family create their linguistic marvel as a means of attracting attention and financial support during Oak Haven's economic depression. The letter was written after a dispute over money. Ashford felt he wasn't receiving his fair share of the profits. This is it, Dr. Okonkwo said quietly during their emergency video call. This is irrefutable. Cornelius Ashford had coached little Augustine into learning a new artificial language to make him look like an alien boy, an unexplainable phenomenon, a marketable novelty for his destitute family. Augustine might have even enjoyed his sudden fame at first, but as time passed, had the forced isolation he had been subjected to wreak havoc on his young mind, had he really died of a physical illness, or had depression set in until his body shut down?